My friends terrified a thief, and it was so hilarious we didn't even get in trouble for it. During college, I hosted an endo-fire party at my place when suddenly I felt super sick and had to throw up. Both bathrooms were busy, so as my only option, I rushed outside and hurled into the bushes once I finished, and looked up I noticed my neighbor's window wide open, which was strange because he was at the party and he lived alone. I walked over and peeked inside, seeing some random guy with a duffel bag cramming anything valuable he could grab. It took me a moment to process what was happening, but once it clicked, I sprinted upstairs shouting that someone was robbing the house next door. A few girls grabbed their phones and called the cops, but for the guys, it was already way too late. Several of them grabbed brooms and one dude even picked up a roll of duct tape. Then they all stormed across the lawn toward the neighbor's place. The burglar saw them, panicked, and tried climbing out the same window, but it didn't matter because the group of drunk guys tackled him instantly and started whacking him with their brooms. He just laid there completely horrified and frozen. When the rest of the guys came outside the duct tape, Guy realized what was happening and began taping the burglar's hands and feet together. I have no clue why the robber didn't fight back, because moments later someone brought out a massive trash bag and we managed to slide almost his whole body inside. He looked like a holiday present with his head sticking out while we kept wrapping him in. The entire roll of tape, he just sat there mumbling promises that he'd never come back. The police still hadn't arrived, and one guy suggested getting even more things to tie him with at that point. He already resembled a wrapped caterpillar, but they walked to the dollar store to find rubber bands 10 minutes later. They returned without bands, but instead holding a full rope. They weren't planning to hurt him, so I went back inside to check on everyone and see how long the cops would take. 5 minutes later, I stepped outside again, and somehow they had managed to tie him upside down to a street lamp, leaving him hanging. There, everyone was still drunk, and the police response time was so unbelievably slow that by the time they finally showed up 15 minutes later, we had already dragged our speakers outside and continued partying around the human caterpillar. I think someone even offered him a beer, but he couldn't drink. While upside down, a couple of neighbors came out telling us to keep the noise down, but after seeing the guy and hearing what happened, they just laughed and were grateful we caught the thief. The officers arrived, trying their hardest to appear serious, but we could see them hiding their grins apparently. They had been searching for this guy for a long time, and couldn't believe this was how they ended up catching him. They weren't angry since we were all 18 and hadn't injured him, and the funniest part was they took him down, put him in the squad car, and simply drove away while keeping him wrapped in his caterpillar.